Many of our favorite forms of media have that one iconic thing that you instantly recognize as theirs. Think about the lightsaber from Star Wars, Pokeballs from Pokémon, or the TARDIS from Doctor Who. You spot them and you just know. It's the same with the Assassin's Creed series and its iconic hidden blade. Right from the first game, this retractable blade was introduced not just as a stealthy assassination tool, but as a symbol to the creed itself, reflecting on the assassination's dedication to discretion and precision. Now let's not sugarcoat it. The origins of the hidden blade can be quite confusing. Some might think that Bayek was the first to wield it, or perhaps even Altair, but it's not that straightforward. The blade has undergone various transformations throughout the series, adapting to different historical periods, and in the latest game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, there appears to be yet another version of it. So what I want to do in this video is go over this iconic weapon, the origins of it, and some of the advancements it's made over time. So if you do enjoy this video, do consider hitting that subscribe button, and check out my other videos about the lore of this franchise. And without further ado, let's get right into it. To start off, we first must take a trip to the game where the hidden blade was first revealed. Was that game Assassin's Creed Origins or Assassin's Creed 1? Well, the answer is neither. It's actually strangely Odyssey. So do you remember in Assassin's Creed 2 under Villa Auditore, you're able to view all of these statues? Well, one of these statues was a man named Darius, a member of the Persian elite, as well as the assassin of King Xerxes I. In fact, I talked about every statue in depth in this video if you want to check that out. Anyway, this man was the first ever person to wield a hidden blade, which you would think is strange, considering the hidden ones were not formed by Bayek and I for over 300 years from the time that Darius was alive. Now, the hidden blade that Darius wielded was the first recorded usage of it in history, and based on Assassin's Creed Odyssey's DLC named The Legacy of the First Blade, it's safe to say he was in fact the first ever person to wield one. Now, as for how he managed to obtain one, well, Darius crafted and maintained his hidden blade all on his own, choosing to use it as his primary weapon. You see, he valued the skill needed to wield it effectively, and that's part of why he stuck with it. Interestingly, unlike many assassins and even Templars who came after him, Darius wore his hidden blade on the outside of his arm, not hidden underneath. In fact, quite similar to Eivor from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Darius then took the weapon over to Greece, where he linked up with Cassandra. They joined forces to fight back against the Order of Ancients at the peak of the Peloponnesian War, and by the time this specific war had been wrapped up, Cassandra had actually gotten her hands on a hidden blade too. However, unlike Darius, she wore hers under her left forearm. And here's an interesting twist. Unlike many who used the hidden blade after her, Cassandra did not have to sacrifice a finger to use it. Now, after Darius and Cassandra, the hidden blade was brought to Egypt by Darius himself, and by the 1st century BCE, it had found its way into Cleopatra's possession. She then passed it on to Aya, who gave it to her husband Bayek, while Aya crafted a replica for herself. We first saw Bayek use the hidden blade when he was tasked with taking out a member of the Order of Ancients known as the Snake. During that mission, Bayek accidentally lost his ring finger because back then, the hidden blade had not been refined or modified enough to prevent such injuries. Interestingly, Bayek was the first person in recorded history to lose his ring finger to the hidden blade, a mishap that would become pretty common among its users over time. Bayek really established the hidden blade as the signature weapon of the Hidden Ones, and from there, it became a central tool for the Assassin Brotherhood. Now here's where a massive gap exists in the timeline. We now fast forward over 900 years from Assassin's Creed Origins to Assassin's Creed Mirage. So just a quick recap, we've gone from Darius to Cassandra to Cleopatra to Aya and to Bayek, and now we're in ancient Baghdad. Now this brings us to Basim, and Basim's hidden blade was given to him after completing his initiation into the Brotherhood, and this process involved intentionally cutting off the ring finger. His hidden blade has such a lot of use in the 9th century, and even assisted Eivor of the Raven clan. And speaking of Valhalla, for this one we'll have to very briefly move away from the actual game, and go to Assassin's Creed Valhalla Song of Glory, but more specifically a man named Amun. And no, not the Egyptian god Amun. This Amun was part of the Hidden Ones and was on a mission to retrieve a Shroud of Eden, a mission that Basim had in fact set up, but unfortunately his mission came to an abrupt end when he was killed by somebody we all know being Sigurd, who took him down for killing his cousin Canute. Sigurd then severed Amun's right wrist so that he could take his hidden blade. Later on, when he returned to Norway, he passed on the hidden blade to his adopted sister Eivor, and before anybody says it, yes, Eivor was in fact a female in the canon. Now what's interesting to note about Eivor's hidden blade is that instead of wielding it like Cassandra or Bayek, Eivor actually wore the hidden blade just like Darius did, with the blade being on top of her wrist instead of below it. Now the reason for this is a bit flawed if I'm being honest. Eivor argued that she did not want to hide such a beautiful weapon, but that quite literally defeats the whole purpose of a hidden blade. After all, it's supposed to be hidden. and that's Eivor's hidden blade, on top of the wrist until her very death. Now that's the very early use of the hidden blade before the year 1000, and we now fast forward quite a lot to Assassin's Creed 1 in 1191. Originally, Altair had a hidden blade, but after he completely screwed up trying to get the apple and broke all 3 tenets of the creed, Al-Mualim demoted him to a novice and took away his weapons, including the hidden blade. Later, when he was first promoted to 2nd rank, he managed to regain his hidden blade. Now at this point, by the 12th century, it was pretty standard for assassins to be equipped with a hidden blade. For its first 1000 years, the hidden blade saw minimal advancements in its design. However, everything changed with Altair, who, inspired by the knowledge from the Apple of Eden, implemented several redesigns and upgrades. These enhancements included a modification that allowed the wielder to block incoming attacks, the addition of double hidden blades, a poison blade, and even a firearm concealed within the blade's bracer. Oh yeah, and the most important one, he came up with a new design for the hidden blade that did not require removing the ring finger, a feature that would become the norm from then on. You see, all of this information is recorded in Altair's Codex, a journal where he detailed his investigations into the Apple of Eden that he possessed. The pages of this codex held so much information that they eventually transformed how the Brotherhood operated. We'll circle back to the details of the codex page in just a bit, but for now let's move on to when the next official recorded usage of the hidden blade is known, and that was in the 15th century by a man named Giovanni Auditore, the father of Ezio Auditore. So by the 15th century, the new and improved hidden blade design had spread all over the old world. The updated mechanism eliminated the need for a wrist flick to release the blade, letting users extend or retract it without moving their hands. Plus, it could be used even with a clenched fist. Giovanni Auditore was one of the first few known assassins who took advantage of using it this way. Now, remember earlier when I mentioned the codex pages? Well, those codex pages came into the hands of Leonardo da Vinci, and he used the information stored inside Altair's codex to present Ezio with quite a few upgrades to his hidden blade. Oh, and you can read everything mentioned in Altair's codex pages through the database in the game, or you can simply search on Google Altair's codex, and it's going to be one of the first few results. Anyway, the upgrades presented to Ezio from the codex featured a second hidden blade, an idea initially from a 9th century Ottoman hidden one in Constantinople, who also had to sacrifice his finger for it. It's said that back then, whoever wielded dual hidden blades would have reached the rank of Master Assassin. Now, over time, the design of the hidden blades evolved so much. In fact, the Ottoman assassins commonly used a hook blade. We first saw this back in Assassin's Creed Revelations, and we also got introduced to this iconic scene.
The standard Ottoman hook blade has 2 parts, you see. The hook and the blade. So you can use one or the other. An elegant design.
The design of it featured both a curved hook and a standard blade, which made it pretty handy for free running and combat. Now here's a fun fact. The actual hook on the hook blade was shaped like an eagle's head, which is a bird often linked to the assassin order. Following the hook blade a few years later, the Chinese assassin Xiao Zhen has possibly one of my favorite variations of the hidden blade, being the foot blade. Now this certain hidden blade was used in situations where a traditional weapon was taken away at the entrance. The foot blade definitely leans more towards style than practicality. It allows Xiao Zhen to pull off moves like a neck stab with a foot, which, let's be honest, is not something anyone can do. It's really meant for assassins who are particularly agile and quick. Imagine someone like Connor trying it. You know what? Don't imagine that. Now fast forward 30 to 50 years after, the Japanese assassin Fujiyabashi Naoe developed a pivoting blade that functioned like a dagger. However, the information on her hidden blade is not as known, seeing as I'm making this video before Assassin's Creed Shadows has been released. But we can get a pretty good glimpse as to what her hidden blade is like. Just look at Connor's hidden blade in Assassin's Creed 3. I'll talk more about that in a bit. Now moving away from the 16th century. By the 18th century, it had become pretty common to see assassins using dual hidden blades. The usage of it worked the same as it's been for a while, but there were some tweaks in its design. For example, the Caribbean assassins and Colonial assassins had hidden blades that were notably wider from those seen during Ezio's time. Also, going back to the pivot blade I briefly mentioned related to Naoe, at some point during the 18th century, Achilles Davenport, the mentor of the Colonial assassins, got his hand on a pivot blade, similar to the one used by Naoe 2 centuries earlier. In 1770, he passed his hidden blade on to his apprentice Raden Hagedun, also known as Connor, who often paired it with his tomahawk. Even though the hidden blade is commonly associated with assassins, it has sometimes ended up in the hands of their enemies, the Templars. There are instances where assassins who defected to the Templars kept their hidden blades, recognizing their strategic value. Notable examples include Vali Seltradei and Sheikh Cormac, who both turned on their former comrades and used their blades to eliminate them. Some Templars even collected hidden blades as trophies from fallen assassins. For example, Haytham Kenway acquired his left hidden blade from the British assassin Miko after defeating him in a duel. Now fast forward to the French Revolution. The French assassins came up with the idea of phantom blades, which were pretty slick. They could shoot silent bolts using some sort of crossbow mechanism built into the gauntlet. This was not the first time we saw cool tweaks to the hidden blade though. Leonardo da Vinci designed something similar for assassin Francesco Veselio back in the early 16th century, and Yun Pyong Liu did the same for Edward Kenway in 1725. Fast forward to the mid-19th century, and you've got the Indian assassin Arbaz Mir sporting a hidden blade that's shaped like a trident with 3 blades. Now that brings us to the more modern day and modern times. The hidden blade was kind of starting to become out of fashion. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the hidden blade was pretty much a must-have for assassins, especially in tight fights. Over time though, it became less about utility and more of a status symbol, something mainly for the big shots, or used in special ceremonies. For example, Daniel Cross got a hidden blade when he was welcomed into the fold by the Mentor back in 2000. By the time we hit the 21st century, not as many assassins were using the hidden blade regularly, but it had not disappeared. In 2013, a Yakuza group called the Onmaraki Gumi, which was linked to the assassins in Osaka, Japan, still kept these hidden blades hidden under their suit sleeves. This century also saw the Indian assassins spice things up by adding an explosive feature to their hidden blade, which could be set up from a touchscreen on another paired blade. However, this tech came into a tragic play in 2013, when former assassin Jastab Dami used it to detonate the blade onto his late sister Siban, destroying a whole floor of a building. Also, this version of the hidden blade has it positioned to the side, which was a new twist compared to the usual under the wrist setup. Now, I've made a video around 9 or 10 months ago that goes over 19 different hidden blades, as well as me ranking them from worst to best. So check that video out too if you want to go even more depth into the variations of the hidden blades. I would talk about them in this video, but seeing as I've already discussed them in that other video, there's just no point. Now, Assassin's Creed Shadows is the next Assassin's Creed game, and judging by the trailers, the hidden blade is definitely involved, as well as hidden blade combat, so that will be pretty cool to see. Let me know down in the comments below if this video eased your understanding of the hidden blade or if you're still confused. I tried my best to explain it in a way that's quite easy to follow. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.